whitetail deer mounted in the world. That's why you want to get good at them.
What are you doing, Uncle Clem?
Well, I'm doing an eye setting demo. I thought you were doing an eye setting demo, and I mean, I kind of do a pretty good eye setting demo around here.
I don't know.
Good, isn't it? Look at that. Look at that. I'm using this here critter clay. It says makes a perfect deer eye set. So I got it.
I like your glasses.
Oh, those are them Panther light up glasses. Look at that. Do you guys see me? See me now? You see me now?
They're better than your zebra ones that you're borrowing of Mom's.
There. Now, that's going to make a nice eye. You do that on the other side, it's going to be one hot little whitetail here.
What's in your mouth?
You better wait for Tom.
Don't tell Mom. She doesn't know about that habit I got.
All right, you gotta go. We're talking eyes here.
I can't do the thing?
Nope.
Oh, man.
Hey everyone, that was Uncle Clem, and you have Brett Wingfield here. Tom Matuska will be joining us shortly. I'm Mandy Swart, and we are going to talk eye setting today. So you can comment your questions if you have any that you want answered, but the guys are going to show you their tips, tricks, and we're going to talk products and reference with you. What else? We got lots of stuff to talk about.
We gotta find Tom. We gotta give him a watch.
David Compton says, does this fella show up during school?
I'm coming.
He shows up every day.
There he is.
Every day. All right.
Marker?
Oh, no, I forgot that. I'll get it. All right, well.
Right over there next to Mandy.
Oh. Hi, everybody.
Markers? Oh, you did. You're ahead of the game. Nice. All right, let's talk some eye setting.
Okay.
All right.
We're going to, more people do deer is what we're going to concentrate on today. More people do deer in the United States than probably any other form of taxidermy work. And the eyes are so crucial to a good looking mount. You want them to look natural. You want them to look lifelike. The first thing you're going to want to do is, I see Brett has some good reference pictures here. People always ask me, what's the hardest thing you do? I always say the hardest thing to do is the thing you know the least about. So if you don't know a lot about deer eyes or expressions, get yourself a good set of reference pictures like this, from the front, from the side, all different kind of pictures. We raise deer, and
For 30 years.
Yep, for 30 years. And so it kind of strikes us when we see an eye set that's not quite right. We've looked at the live thing long enough that we kind of have a little bit of insight into what we want them to look like anyway. This reference photo is kind of interesting because in the glint of the eye, you can see our shop. You can see the deer corral. The gate is all reflected in the deer's eye, which we think is kind of neat.
They're all our babies.
Yeah, Mandy's babies. She grew up with deer sleeping on her bed, with deer sleeping in her closet. We had baby deer all the time at home.
The first year of my husband being together, I brought one home and he had it in his living room and everything too. So it's a new way to meet your new friend. We also, all these pictures, we sell them in 8x10s, but we also have reference CDs. And those reference CDs have like 100 to 150 close up, far away, side views, front views, all sorts of really good videos or pictures. And you can actually print them off or put them on your computer and have them playing. So they're really good to have.
And let's talk eyes a little bit. If we're going to set eyes, we have a variety of eyes. There's lots of different eyes on the market, and there's a lot of good eye companies out there. Tohican has been in the eye business forever, makes a great glass eye. Payer makes a very, very good eye, and I think you have a little special to tell them about the Payer eyes. You can get these eyes in a plain brown eye. They come in mediums, they come in darks, kind of your preference. You can get them with a white band on the eye. These have a scleral membrane, and it's the same as a person. If you look to the right or to the left, you show more white on one side than the other, and that is the concept with the pre-rotated eyes. You can use them in either direction. So I can have a deer look to the left, I'll show a little more white here and a little more white in the front over here, or vice versa. You can have him smelling of a scent stick on a stump, and you can put white in the back corners and direct his focus close. You can do a lot of things with the pre-rotated eyes. We even have pre-rotated eyes with blood vessels in for extra realism. There's compound lens pre-rotated eyes.
The defined cornea.
Yep, defined cornea, and you can kind of see the profile.
So you would have the defined cornea there, where it,
Yep, it's a double
goes
step
out.
like a real eyeball.
where then this one is just kind of a half sphere.
And there's a whole array of eyes. So there's nothing wrong with an all brown eye. They make an excellent eye set, or you can get real tricky and impress people with some of the more complex eyes.
That's your phone again.
That
This
must
is
be
every
me.
time. Can everyone give us a thumbs up if you can hear us and see us? I think there's a couple people having problems. If you are having a problem, get out of the video, get out of Matuska Taxidermy page, and then go back to it. Then go back to our page and you should be able to click on it again. Oh, we got lots of likes. So you guys are seeing it?
Oh, good.
It's good on our end, so make sure you just go back and refresh it. See, look at that. Isn't that fun to see? All the likes, little...
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I know. He likes it. This is the first time he's seen all your thumbs up.
Oh my gosh.
Later, maybe we'll do some hearts.
Hi, Jody.
Another-
Say hi to Jody.
Hey, Jody.
Hi, Jody. Another good reference are these eye casts that we carry. These were actually cast from fresh animals with probably a glass eye inserted by Mike Yeska, I think Pat Wagner, and Brian Olson. Those three guys know their whitetail deer and came up with a lot of reference material years ago. We have muzzle casts, we have eye casts, which are a great help. So with something like this as a 3D version to hold in your hand, we're gonna sculpt an eye onto that mannequin and show you how to do a eye set.
Is it important, because we sell the left and the right, is it important to have both of them, or can you basically use the right for the left too, in a sense?
Works best for me to have both.
I gotta have both, just because you gotta interpret
Backwards, like
Yeah.
I've
doing your
heard,
hair in
I've
the
heard
mirror.
of people
Right.
doing the mirror. They'll hold it in the mirror and then
Oh.
they'll do the mirror on the other
Fancy.
side. You know, I don't know how well that works, but
I'd break the mirror and have bad luck for 20 years.
We have some questions here. What's better, epoxy or clay?
For setting your eyes?
Yeah.
I don't know, Tom, how would you feel about that?
I like clay because epoxy, you're locked in. If you are, a lot of people use epoxy, and I've done epoxy on, I think I have a mountain lion out in my showroom that I did for the NTA, 30 years ago I did epoxy eyes. It worked fine. There's no alterations, there's no changing with the epoxy. Once it's set, it's set. So you're locked in. I like clay because I can soften it if I had to, especially for commercial work.
Yep. A little
Now,
longer working time.
We sell all sorts of different clay. You have the critter clay, you have our potter's clay, you have the animal clay, the white fish clay.
Yeah.
What's the difference and what's your preference?
We use the critter clay, and the reason we use critter clay is it's a harder clay, dries harder. I think the animal clay is pretty similar in consistency.
Yep. Animal clay is very similar to the critter clay. It will feel a little bit different, but it's also a non-shrinking clay.
The other one is the stoneware clay, and stoneware clay that you use for fish work is not near as soft. We'll often let the eyes set up for overnight, 4 to 6 hours, maybe even overnight. And I'm afraid if you use the fish clay without keeping it wet, they'd probably crack and break a little bit more.
And when we're talking about fish clay, we sell it as fish clay, but it's actually a pottery clay that a water-based product that air dries, and then I think it's meant to be fired in a kiln at some time.
Now you have the critter clay in the white and the natural native. What What do you use? Which one for what? Or do you just stick with one?
It doesn't matter to me when setting eyes. I like the white if I'm using it on fish cheeks or something like that, because the color can telegraph through like a walleye cheek. So the white is very handy for that purpose. I'm not sure it makes a big difference to me on setting eyes, unless it was
like
a color
really
preference.
early season deer, really super
And that
short
could happen
hair
too,
with
sure.
a lot of epidermis showing. You might want to try.
If there's any
go
chance of
white.
it showing through, maybe in animal toes, you get a bobcat, real thin skinned bobcat or something, and you are going to use clay in the toes where that skin will actually darken up if you put a dark base like a dark clay behind it, maybe.
Okay. Bobby Gillenwater, what are your thoughts on place-line clay?
Plastiline.
Plastiline clay?
So plastiline would be an oil-based clay, right?
Yep.
Have you done any conventional ice sets with?
I haven't. It's a little more difficult to work with. We do a lot of refurbishing of mounts and taking things apart that other people have done, and oftentimes we come across oil-based clay inside there. If it works for you, do it. Your skin is going to dry hard over it, and that plastiline clay, I'm sure, will give you the shape that you need without shrinking whatsoever. If it works and you like it, do it.
But it would remain pliable.
Pliable, yeah.
Yeah, forever. Probably the biggest negative to it would be pliable.
Where's our bubbles?
What bubbles? Oh, where are the likes? What can you do to make sure you have balance and symmetry for your eyes while setting?
Great question. There's a few things. We're going to set one live here in a few minutes. Can show you a few different things about balancing out the amount of clay that you start with. A good set of calipers would be a great way to do that.
There's your bubbles.
And then, and I think it's just a matter of going back and forth and being able to see both of them from the front. Do you have any tricks?
Look at all those people. You better make this good. There's a lot of people out there.
68 right now.
No, other than your eyeballs, just kind of scrutinize, I think.
Start with your form level. That's probably one of the biggest starting foundational points is start with your backboard level, your eyes level and your backboard flat to the wall or 90 degrees perpendicular to the ground.
And some people are very good at that, and some people struggle. We have the taxidermy school, and we're always telling students to level up their form, and they'll say, it is level. And we'll look at each other and say, that's level, and I mean, the thing's crooked, and they really think that's level. Some people have a bubble in their brain, and some people don't. And
that's why Clem's got that adjustable stand.
Yes, he does. And if level is not something that you were gifted with, that laser level is a great little thing. It's on a tripod, and you just turn the switch, and it'll put a perfectly level line. You line it up with the tear ducts, and you don't have to trust anybody's advice to tell you if the thing's straight.
John Block, eye setting with epoxy, pros versus cons. We kind of talked about that a little bit, where epoxy hardens and you're stuck with what you got.
Yep.
Where clay you can alter a little bit. Jared Embry says bubbles. Hey, Jared. Is there a favorite eye you prefer for competition and commercial?
Ooh, you better take that one, Tom.
I don't know. Whatever you're comfortable with and whatever you can do the nicest job. When you're going to do a competition eye, make sure you know the anatomy and the location and the size of the caruncle. You're going to want to incorporate the nictitating membrane. You do not need, a high-priced eye to do a really, really nice job. There's a lot of competitions won with an aspheric eye done well. Will give you a really, really nice eye set.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of guys say, do what you know best.
Yeah.
Don't try something different for competitive use.
We always talk about doing competitions. Every time we start on something, it's almost like we say, how can I make this harder? I wonder what would happen if I tried this. And you're doing all this new stuff. Brian Olson is a great whitetail competitor, and he does for his competitions what he does in his shop, and I think all those guys do. Mike and Pat and Mark and Brian, what they incorporate in their shop, they do in their competition work also.
We had a customer stop in the other day talking about a competition piece and said he got docked points for a thumbprint on his eye, which, talking about that, we do have the eye polish. What would you say you would bring to, what would you say you'd bring? So if you're doing competition pieces, I would say everybody always comes to get super glue from our booth before we're even open. Super glue,
some kind of dark
grooming brush, dark paint. So kind of make
even
sure
markers.
you have, make sure you have all that stuff if you're going to a competition piece. Those are big things for
You
your
should,
like safety
you should make
toolbox.
up a nice little kit with about 10 items, and because people get desperate when they have to come up with something for fixing something.
Show that eye polish off here.
So you have the eye polish kit, and then it comes with all your little cleaners that get in the corner. But Adam Lubenthal, I'm talking about you. I saw your watching.
That was a thumbprint?
That was a
Really?
thumbprint. Yep. He's not gonna make that mistake this year at Wisconsin, I bet. But yeah, a safety last minute fix on those would be great.
And with show season coming up, that's a great thing to bring up.
Yeah, show season. We'll talk shows in a little bit because we got some fun stuff coming up for those. Please explain what you mean about rehydrating the clay to adjust after dry. Do you use a syringe to inject water or what?
Okay, we just had a student yesterday who had his tear ducts pull out, and he had used critter clay like we instruct with critter clay to set the eyes, and we leave a little apron of skin around the eye to tuck. Some people do that, some people trim that off. Anyway, what we did was we usually use bactericide and water because anytime you get hides wet, extra moisture can cause slippage, and even though it's tan. So we wet the whole eye surface. You know, just because you're working on the eye, do a much larger portion than what you're thinking. Then bactericide and water, spray it down really good. As soon as it's soft enough to get a small insulin syringe underneath the soft skin, start soaking up that mixture, sucking up that mixture in the syringe and squirting it under the skin to rehydrate this whole area. Critter clay dries very hard, very fast, and it does not soften up easy. It might take a day to 2 to 3 before your critter clay is soft enough to untuck your eye, you know, re-smooth it from the outside, you know, reshape your eye and then tuck it again.
So you can do that with clay, but not epoxy.
No, you can't do it with epoxy.
Epoxy, you're stuck.
Yeah. And critter clay's harder. You might have to bag it overnight, put a small towel over it, and bag it, let it rehydrate after you inject it.
If you use the pottery clay, it'll soften up in an hour. If you use the plastiline clay, there's no softening up. You just have to soften your leather, rehydrate your leather.
Got it. All right. Did you guys want to do your demo? Or you want to do a few more questions?
Whatever you say.
Oh, careful. When setting your deer eyes, do you let the clay dry completely before you install the hide?
I don't like it to dry completely. What do you think?
I don't. Because I guess, like I said, we use a little apron of skin and we need to tuck it. So the way to tuck it is to either pull the clay a little bit away from the glass so you can tuck the skin down in there, or if your clay is soft, you can tuck it down between, just in the soft clay. If you removed all the tissue in the membrane and had nothing but the lid, then you could let it dry, I think, and get by fine.
What's the rule of thumb on making sure your eyes are set at the correct depth?
You were just showing somebody that the other day.
Yeah, do you want to draw it on the board?
Let's do it.
And maybe
Oh, I need my drawer.
Yeah, that would be good.
I think this cast will show it real good too.
You might want to scoot. You might want to go more that way so they can see the board. There you go.
Okay, here's your eye.
Brett.
Let's see here. This is hard when you're under pressure.
Under pressure. Under pressure.
Is that a song? Oops.
Yeah.
Okay, from the side, I'm going to show you the front here also. You're going to have an eye set. Anybody sees this goes, oh my gosh, turn this off. You're going to have an eye set kind of like that. Okay, if you were to take, you're going to build up this portion down here, the lower lid to blend into your eye. You're going to build up his brow, not necessarily to build it up. Any of the mannequins that we have, the brow is already there for you. The lower lid is already there for you. You just have to bring it up onto the eye. If you were to take a straight edge and lay it from the brow, touch the glass, and touch the lower lid all at the same time, you would be pretty close to what you're looking for. Now this one is going to be a little off here.
Come more this way, Brett.
Yeah. So if you were to take a straight edge, you want to hit this top lid, the bottom lid, and the glass all at the same time. Am I saying that right?
Yep. And I've got a cast here we can kind of show too.
Kind of like that. You're going to hit, here's your eyelashes, here's your eye comes like this, here's your tear duct. If you run a straight edge, like we usually have a level around or paintbrush or anything like that, just hit the top lid and the glass and the bottom lid all at the same time. And that's a rule of thumb. It's not going to be exact on every animal. You're going to have heavier ones. You're going to have some that aren't so heavy. Something that you're going to want to remember is if you do this on your eye set and clay, don't forget that you're going to be putting skin over this and over that, which is going to put your straight edge out another 1/8 of an inch. So when you set your eyes and you're checking, if your eye sticks out ever so slightly, maybe don't worry about it because you're going to be putting leather over there and hair. Do you have a towel to wipe that off?
You might need that spray too, Mandy. It's there in the...
Oh, goodness.
Shall we set one?
Yeah.
Okay, you determine what you want to set, what kind of expression.
I'm thinking just an average commercial, just to start, just a nice 3-corner eye set.
Okay.
You could walk them through.
There's
3-corner eye set. 3-corner eye set.
There's all different kind of expressions. This deer is alarmed. Something's got his attention, full attention, and his eye is very big and round. Customers would, on the wall, you wouldn't want a whole lot of really scared deer on the wall. We have some that are relaxed. This one is still alert, but more relaxed than the alarmed one. This one is more relaxed even yet. Okay, he's going to have a good place to start. When we talk about a 3-cornered eye set, people, if you look at people, I can see a kind of a 3-cornered eye set in you. I can really see, look at Kirsten's really good. Put your eye down here. Now, there, see 3 corners?
Oh, yeah.
People have 3 corners. I was talking to Corey Carruthers one time, and he said, yeah, like birds. And I go, birds? Birds have a round.
A round.
I don't know anything about birds. But he brought it up that even a bird can have a 3-cornered eye set. What that is in your form, you're going to have a valley. And then you're going to have your lacrimal crease, and you're going to have your tear duct groove right there. Here's your eye socket. Typically for a deer, we're going to go with a 32 millimeter eye. I mean, I almost always use 32, and it seems to work really good. The 3 corners that I refer to when I'm trying to tell somebody how to do an eye set, the first one is going to be in line with the crease in front of the tear duct. That's going to be my number 1 corner. It's going to be an angle. So I'm going to put a number 1 here. Number 3 corner is slightly higher than number 1. So if I went straight across and go up maybe a 1/4 inch, this is going to be number 3. So my number 3 is going to be there. Number 2 is very erect from number 1. So first let's do this number 1 to 3. It starts out, I'm gonna draw something and then explain it. Okay, we're gonna do something like this. Right here, I describe this as a little place where the skiers stand at the Olympics so they don't go down the hill the minute they get ready. It's a place you can stand. Number 1 corner, and from that corner, have a little short level spot before you drop into the belly of your eye. You'll see that on most of the eye sets, a little level area right there. Okay, so I went number 1 to 3, 3 slightly higher than number 1. Now I'm going to come up with my number to number 2, and depending on the attitude of the eye, these corners may not be corners like you think of a 90-degree corner. This is number 2, and it's more so a change in direction. So we got 1, we got 2, and we got 3. Now on a really alert deer, number 2 and number 3 are going to be almost not visible. A real alert deer can be very, very round. A real lazy deer chewing his cud in the sun will have even a drooped eye. Still, number 3, higher than number 1, but this top lid can actually be sway back.
I feel like one of them had that.
Do you want to come in here with that, or can you do it out there?
Oh, yeah.
With this?
Okay.
Yeah, where do you want to?
Right there's good.
So I'm going to draw a picture of what we're after.
This good?
Yeah, do it.
I'll be your spritzer. Dan Harley says he looks forward to these every week. Thanks for the videos. Helps a lot and answers a lot of my questions.
Nice.
Jennifer Shelton's wondering if you can show an example of adding texture, small dots on the lower lid on a whitetail.
That's a little advanced.
That might be in a finishing demo.
Finishing
Maybe we'll
demo.
do that when we do finishing.
All right.
But
Stay
we'll
tuned,
keep that
Jennifer.
as in.
Now, if you're using a lighter eye, like the medium brown, locate your top lid closer to the pupil than in the center. And that's a shading type technique to protect the pupil from glare or from light, I would guess. People do it, birds do it, mammals do it. Most often, this distance between the top lid and the pupil is much less than from the pupil to the bottom lid. You get in here.
Oh, I'm good.
You got important things to show.
Stick one on here.
You move it in a little bit.
Move the deer in.
Like under
Yeah.
the table almost. There you go.
There.
Did that work?
In most of our all of our forms that we use, I think the recommended angle for the back plate is 45 degrees. You don't need to get inventive and bring them out or extend them out or sink them in. The plate should almost be there for you.
So I'm just going to stick these in as we would do on,
Sure.
on a standard commercial deer. I kind of made a little mark so I know where my pupil is, which is parallel to the floor,
Parallel to the floor.
ground. I mean, this being a pre-rotated eye, I'm going to leave some white in the back corner of this eye and the front corner of this eye over here.
How do you know which one's the left and which one's the right?
Riding him like a horse.
No, I know the. Wait.
Oh, of those,
for the
of
eyes.
the glass.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the pre-rotated you can do any direction.
What about the others? Did they mark them for you?
No, and you'd have to look at the pupil. And there are some strains that they will be marked.
Yep, some of the manufacturers are marking them on the back now, I hear. So with this pre-rotated eye, I'm going to take it out and it's showing a little bit more white than we want to show.
So what are you doing now?
So I'm going to take out just a little bit of the front corner, which is kind of a manufacturing thing, that it's just a little bit, you get a little bit of wax buildup, you get a little bit in the front corner, and if you can see that, it's a very, very small piece that came out, but it'll allow the eye to sit tighter to the glass. I'm sorry, the glass to sit tighter to the form.
You know, we have customers come in and you're trying to convince them to let you mount their deer, and when we're come up with poses, I'll say, you know, I'll show them everything that we do with the deer. We do the texture on the nose, the white-based eyes, you know, all the different extras we do to our mounts. And I'll say, what was the deer doing when you shot him? And they'll give me a story, like maybe they were laying behind a log and his friends were making a drive, and the deer knew I was there, couldn't see me, but had its, you know, it had my attention, or I had its attention, and then all of a sudden somebody stepped on a twig, you know, and it came trotting down the thing. So I said, what if we do this? What if we have him coming from your left to right, if that works in your room, and we will have white in the front corner of this eye, or this eye, in the back corner of this eye, we're going to have him looking right at that log, though he can't quite pick you out because you're being real still. And then what if we have one ear locked on you and one ear listen to that twig in the back? And customers get so excited, like, I never thought of that. I was just thinking of a mounted deer on the wall, you know. And when you get it done and show it to them, they go, ah, that's exactly how he was. It really wasn't exactly how it was. It's how you told them you were going to do it, and you kind of set the stage for the scenario, and they get all excited about it, and they bring you more deer.
So one helpful hint to, somebody had asked about getting eyes the same left and right. If you'll take and roll it out to a consistent diameter and then break it in half, we'll use this half over here.
Ooh,
and
we
this
got a
half
heart. We
over
get
here.
hearts and thumbs up.
Yeah.
Ooh. So this will be our, you started from 1 to 3, so I'm just
I
gonna
do
put
1 to
these on.
3. It doesn't matter. You'll come up with your own system.
And that's what I do, so that
So
works really good.
He's building, now less is best.
Yeah.
He's building this clay right here.
So 1 to 3 like that. I know I'm going to break off that much. And then I'll come right over here and do the same thing on the other side. We're using a very small amount. So I've broken off about the same amount.
Yeah, Clem would have had a mess with what he was doing.
And then we'll go, I don't put a whole bunch from 1 to 2, so I'm going to break this in half for my top lid. And I'm going to start kind of at 2, and then I'm just going to push just a little extra down toward 1 and come in something like this.
Now I'm doing blue about where he's putting clay. I don't want to inundate my phone calls, my messages, but oftentimes people will call me and they'll say they're having trouble with their eyes, and I'll say, text me a picture of what you got going. And invariably, it's they have added too much clay between 1 and 2, and they've brought that eye down into a very, very slanted look. And this deer has to see very far ahead. I mean, he has great frontal vision, so you can't block his frontal vision with clay.
And these mannequins, most of today's mannequins, but I know you guys that put these together, they don't want a whole bunch. This is, the front corner is pretty well pre-sculpted to what you need. So
Now, you guys do a lot of whitetails, so what would be your form of choice, or what's, right now you're working on the Competitor's Choice Semi-Sneak Series.
We like Competitor's Choice. These were, we came by Competitor's Choice, long time ago when Brian Olson called me up, and I had known Brian Olson just from watching him walk up on stage, winning ribbons, you know, with his deer mounts. And he called me and he said, at that time I was attempting to sculpt my own deer, And I realized after sculpting 2 change-out heads that my life wasn't long enough to do this. And he said, would you be interested, because the supply company was very young, he said, would you be interested in carrying some deer that we are sculpting? And I said, yeah, you bet, what do you got? And he said, well, nothing yet, you know, but we can do it. So they, Mike Yeska and Brian Olson and Pat Wagner came, and they brought a deer sculpture that they had done out of clay, and I compared the measurements to what I was not finding in the catalogs on the deer I was mounting, and it measured up perfectly. I think it was like a 7.5-inch nose to eye, and just an average whitetail pose. And but the measurements were flawless. And they overmeasure everything. They've got 50 measurements in a deer head, and so that's how Competitor's Choice was ever born. And all 3 of those guys were avid competition taxidermists, and they applied to their commercial mannequins everything they knew from competing over the years. And so we have, I don't know, what do we have, 100 maybe? 100 Competitor's Choice in semi-sneak, semi-upright, upright offset, wall pedestals, and 1 sneak. And they're exceptional looking deer. They mount very, very friendly. The molds are made out of, they're 3-piece molds, which allows for greater definition under the chin and the jawbone, and the armpits lay right in. The brisket is super easy. If you ever struggle about not having enough distance down here to get to lay your brisket in, you know, these forms are tremendous that way. And they come in everything from a 7-inch nose die. Do we have maybe 7 all the way up to 8-inch nose die? We got, I think we have the biggest deer in the market. If you look, I think we got
the 206 series.
Yeah, how big is that? It's like 25 by 28 or something.
Bigger than anything I shoot. Even spawned a mule deer series too.
Oh yes, yes. Great mule deer. Sagebrush series mule deer are
everyone loves them. You try them, you'll like them.
Hot item right now.
Them, yeah.
Early season mule deer for the archery and muzzleloader deer, which are usually a little bit lighter framed and slender necks, but still have a, you know, like a 7.5-inch nose to eye. Tremendous looking deer.
Do you tuck the eyes or lay the skin to the clay?
We typically tuck them, and that's kind of what I've left a little bit of room to do with this. They would tuck right under here because we have a nice... Do you think if you cut that skin away, you probably could use epoxy?
Yeah.
That might be an idea, but yeah, using the critter clay like this, I've just left a little bit more of this pushed away.
I used to trim all my skin away. You have to be very good at trimming it evenly so you don't get it lumpy, that lid lumpy. A lot of people do that, and if you thin it good enough, the reason for the apron and tucking it is to minimize it from pulling away. And the only reason it should pull away is you didn't thin your skin properly. We have an expression around here, thin to win. If you want your skin to stay in one place, make sure it's thin.
I've got one little piece I'm going to add here. It's a nictitating membrane to the front corner.
Good.
Since I've got some white showing in the front. Do you want to show them that on the board, and I'll get it?
When I first got into taxidermy, I wanted to have white-based eyes, and there was an old. Okay, we can get rid of that. There was an
That's what I'm here for.
Thank you. There was an old Jonas catalog that had white-based eyes, and so I want those. So I order them. We don't have them. What do you mean you don't have them? It's in your catalog. They're beautiful. They have like Cape Buffalo eyes and things like that, and they didn't make them. So I tried painting eyes. I would take an all brown eye and I'd rough up the edge and I'd mask it off and I'd paint it. I'd even put blood vessels in it. They were gorgeous, and by the time you set your eye, you scratch the paint. So that didn't work so well. Then out came, I suppose, Tohican with really nice white-based eyes at that time. And whoops, we want them from the, we want them there. And they had a pretty large band of white, I would say, similar to this. In those days, I didn't know what a nictitating membrane was. if you can zoom in on this picture, that flap of skin is the nictitating membrane. If you have a dog at home, look at the dog in the front corner of the eye. Look at your cat. Any animal you have is going to have a nictitating membrane. Birds have them.
So we sell a couple different sizes, but the ones we sell aren't gloss. Do you gloss afterwards with that?
I would, because it's going to have
With triple thick, or what do you
fluid.
use?
You could use triple thick, would be a good thing. And that membrane will lay in here. I always say it's like a slippery slide. Don't stand it up and down. It's more like a nice sloped slide.
Lexi Neff says snakes don't.
What's that?
Snakes don't.
Snakes don't? So when I got those white-based eyes from whoever I got them from, I didn't know there was such a thing as a nictitating membrane. So I did these white-based eyes on my deer, and they looked like they were hit with a hot shot in the butt. I mean, they're big white bands in the eyes, and customers would come in and they'd say, "They really look like that?" And I go, "Oh yeah, state of the art, man. You know, I'd put that in yours." I mean, these deer look terrible. They had 1/4 inch of white showing because I didn't know that a nictitating membrane in the proper place would temper that white by half.
I've got one cut, so this is what we started with. And then I've just taken one that I've cut a little bit, and I'm going to slide it in here just for demonstration purposes to show how much of that white it's going to take away.
I got one. Both, all of them?
Something like that.
Let me get up in here.
Yeah.
Now you can even see in these study casts the nictitating membrane. You probably can't see it because it's white, but they do have a pretty good nictitating membrane in the front corner.
Yep, right here. Here to here.
We used to have our first and biggest tame deer, buckwheat.
Buckwheat.
Yeah, thank you. We used to be able to scratch him in the ear. He was really, really tame. And you could put your finger in his ear and he loved to be scratched, just like dogs do and everything. And when he did, he'd roll his eye and that nictitating membrane would come out a long, long ways. Oh, now I got black.
Oh yeah.
There you go. So I've just kind of got this roughed in place. I've added some cosmetics just while I'm standing here, but
I saw you using earlier a dry brush.
Yep.
What were you doing there?
Cleaning the glass.
Got it.
Cleaning the glass because when you add water to it, or Windex or anything liquid, you'll make basically mud out of that clay, a slurry. So I'll use one to clean it, and then I'll always use a stiff brush. Once I get everything pretty well located, I'll use a stiffer bristled brush to actually manipulate the clay.
So that would be the 803 series that comes with 3, and it's a squared bristle.
I like a brush also. It's very soft. Very soft without using hard tools on your eyes.
This is hard for demo.
Don't
Live.
screw up. Live. Don't screw up.
But I think that'll get just kind of a start of
I
where
gotta see
we...
how you're doing. Ooh, that looks deery.
Ooh, that looks
Oh. You gonna leave it that way? And then,
Oh, it looks good.
if you flesh your eye out very, very carefully without making holes, up in the front corner, you're gonna find a couple of little ports, tiny little holes, and right in the front corner, you're gonna flesh out a carbuncle. And if you feel up in the front corner of your eye, you're gonna feel a little lump that's been there all of your life and you never knew what it was for. Deer have that also. And that is right in front of that nictitating membrane, that if you flesh your skin really, really thin, you will be able to see it because there's actually recesses around the carbuncle and they will show light, and it'll be a lighter skin, and you can shape it when you set your eye. And then you can finish it real easily once you shape it.
Lexi, I missed the first part of the video. Do you show the white on the front of both eyes for the deer looking forward? And how do you align them to look one direction or the other?
We have deer. I have all kinds of different pictures with white on the backs, on the fronts. I went to a very famous taxidermist in his day who was given a seminar at one of the world shows, and he said deer will never show white in their eyes. And having the live deer, you know, and I thought, so we don't need these things. Having the live deer, you'll see all kinds of white. Here's, just don't overdo it. On the back of this eye is a very small, just a lightness almost, very, very little. On the front of this eye, top actually, he's trying to look down a little bit. You see a little bit of white. If I were making them look one direction or the other, I would turn those pre-rotated eyes either this way, they should be symmetrical, or 180 degrees to go the other way. So I can put white on one side and white on the other side. If I'm having him look close, I would put white in the back. I do like that little crescent of white in the back as a forward-looking deer.
And you're talking about these reference pictures, all from the 30 years of raising deer. We have a reference CD that is straight eyes. So it's the Whitetail eye CD, and it gives you everything he's talking about for reference. Like there's what?
This guy right here.
Eyes and ear. We have one
There's
for ears
62
and eyes.
on the eye one, and then you can get a whitetail all around that has a variety.
And I'm pretty sure those are all high-resolution pictures.
Pretty sure they are.
If you take them to 300 DPI, you can still make almost a poster size. You can blow them up very, very large, you know, to put them by your workstation when you do the eyes.
Are you done?
Yeah, I think so.
Come over here a little bit. There you go. Get on in. Awesome. So for those of you just tuning in, we are doing whitetail. What?
Move the camera back on Sapphire.
Oh my gosh. You're so funny. Those of you just tuning in, we are doing the whitetail eye setting, and we are doing live videos every Thursday at 4:30 Central Time, except for next week.
Why?
We got the Wisconsin show.
Tell them about it.
So show season is upon us. Next week, we are doing the Wisconsin show. We have a lot of shows coming up. The shows that we're going to, so those of you that are going to compete in shows or thinking about it, do it. The seminars, you can learn one trick from one person another way. There's so many ways to do things, so many products out there. Go, even if you're not competing, just go and learn. They're great shows.
And what do they win?
Win for what? Hold on, we gotta talk about the ones we're going to. What shows are we going to?
Wisconsin is a large, very,
Wisconsin's
very
first.
well done show. Top of the line shows that we go to. It's a
Fun
good,
one too.
good show.
We're also doing Minnesota and Iowa, which are the same weekend, but we're gonna hit both of them. We have the South Dakota, Oklahoma, and the UTA, and the Western Regional and Nebraska. We are going to all those shows. So for those of you that are going to them, if you want to save on shipping and get a show discount, call us and we'll throw your order in the trailer and we'll bring it with us for you, which will save you some money there. Something new that we're doing, we kind of changed the look, but these are our Matuska Competitors Award that we offer. And I don't know if those of you have heard them, but they're pretty exciting. So this is the professional one, the silver, and then you have the masters in the gold. The shows that those will be at are Alabama, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, North Carolina, North Dakota, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Western Regional, Wisconsin, South Dakota, and Arizona. Holy cow.
Wow.
Holy cow.
Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware. I could go on. But anyway.
Joe Martin says, would you ever come out to the California show?
I was just talking to somebody.
We got a
on the phone.
California guy right here.
Yeah.
We'd love to hit all of them if we could. They're a lot of work.
I know they're a lot
They're
of
a
work.
lot of work,
Tremendous
but we'll definitely send donations and whatnot. So give us the information. Those will be there. You guys can call in for orders. Let's talk.
They do want you to go live at the shows.
I see. Friday. I'll be at the Wisconsin show Friday.
Oh, really?
That I could do live if you'll do it with me.
We do the same thing?
Yep, same
You
thing.
better.
All right, we'll think about it, but be ready for technical difficulties. But our competitors award. Let's talk a little bit about that. So,
Why do you have two colors?
this one's professional, and then we have the masters.
And what's it take?
Why are you asking me questions? Okay.
You gotta explain it.
All entries must have a first or second place ribbon with a combination score of 350.
How many entries can they have?
I don't know those rules. You gotta go on. You tell me.
I think it was
four.
Four.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all four in the professional, or all four in the masters, and if you get a combined score of 350, you would get that.
And I think when you enter, you declare what you're after. If you're,
Yeah.
Professional or masters.
Mhm.
Got it.
Yeah. And then it would be the highest combined score. So not everybody scoring over 350, but
So
the highest
if you
combined
got
score.
it, got it. So there you have it. So that's something to work for.
Something about these. These are sculpted here by our in-house sculptor,
Amber.
Amber.
Very cool.
Inglings. I can't say her last name. I really struggle with that.
And she sculpted that. We made a mold of it. I had seen eagles before, and I thought, man, we could do a better eagle. She's a pretty talented lady.
Very talented.
And so she sculpted that for us, and
Painted it, and we got,
she's made a lot of them.
How many years have we done it?
This is year three.
Three, I'd say.
Three. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. Kind of just keeps growing on that. What
See
time
you
is
next
it,
week,
Kristen?
Blake.
Oh, yeah. You're
It
reading
is
my notes.
5:22. Don't forget our special.
Oh, 5:22. We are going to do a giveaway and a special and all sorts of fun stuff. Okay. One of the things we have is, I'll show you this. This Tom came up with. This is Deer Eyes, Attitudes, and Setting Guidelines. And it's kind of, it shows you the 3 points that he was talking about, the lining up, all that good stuff. What we are going to do, if you guys place an order and mention this, we'll throw it in your box, and you can have one on hand. We also are going to, for the next week, so through Wednesday of next week, but we're going to do
22nd.
the 22nd, we're going to do 20% off all pair eyes. So you can place your order, and the code is pair20, and you can go online or you can call us, and we'd love to hear from you. But that would be 20% off. If you're interested in getting that discount all the time, give me a call and we'll talk about it and see what we can work out. Let's see. So 20% off pair eyes.
Ooh.
Such a pretty flyer.
that.
Good job, Kirsten. Pay Your Eyes. We use them. They're a good product.
Yes,
Great
everyone
product.
really likes them. Let's give away. Well, modeling tool. You didn't talk about this, but this is our top selling modeling tool kit, and it comes with 7 different.
4.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Oh.
7 tips.
Wow.
7 tips, 4 tools.
She is on it.
But let's do that as a giveaway along with our eye model chart.
That's my favorite sculpting tool
That's-
ever. I could not be without that.
We use it
Which
for
one's
everything.
your favorite? So
This
point
one.
your
Right here.
this little guy. We don't sell them individually.
And
but
some of these make great lip tuckers.
Yep.
You can
Yeah.
bend them. You can fashion them yourself. You can
These guys
cut.
look curved.
You can cut tear ducts with them.
So great tool.
And you're giving them away?
Yeah, let's give it away. I have a question. We're gonna do another trivia question.
We better have them like the video.
Oh yeah, show the bubbles. Let's get a thumbs up, like, maybe some hearts. Watch them stream across. So everybody like the video, and feel free to share it when you're done. You can all the live videos
Look at
yeah, keep it up, keep going,
Look at
let's see
that.
them. You should see 78 technically.
Holy smokes.
And some hearts.
Hearts?
Yeah. You can go online and order, or you can call us. All our live videos that we've been doing every Thursday at 4:30 Central Time, you can go on our Facebook page and watch them all.
Now, what's that? When they're colliding, do they collide and then do that?
No, it's just popping up as a picture of them,
Yeah.
and then it turns into what they pick.
Wow.
Anyway, feel free to give us a call if you have any questions or have an order. Here's my question. So what I want you to do is comment the answer, and the first one that we see with the right answer gets this little tool and eye set.
Can you tell me the answer real quick in my ear, or show me it? Okay,
Okay,
that's what I thought.
ready? Deer have a field view of how many degrees?
Wow.
Deer have a field view of how many degrees?
You been Googling this or what?
That's a good
Kristen.
question. It's appropriate to the
Deer
eyesight.
have a field view of how many degrees? It's in your
It's not 45.
3 numbers.
Not 360. Not 180.
Oh, there's one that's kind of close. Keep going. Anyway, what else you got to talk about while people are guessing?
Hey, where'd you come up with that question?
Kirsten. I'm a little helper.
I knew it.
Oh, you're getting closer. Jeff
Getting
Speck, you're,
close. Jeff Speck's close.
Not- you're off by a few. Lower. Lower Doug Shores. Oh, Brian Billings, 310. You got it, buddy.
Wow.
Brian gets a
Brian Billings get a modeling tool and
No, can't be
the
3
stuff.
Can't be.
so thanks
Only
for
50
that's what
degrees
Google said.
behind.
I don't think so.
Thanks for
Good.
tuning in, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll catch you next week, maybe at the Wisconsin show if I can talk them into it, but it would be Friday. But we'll keep you posted on our Facebook, so make sure you follow us to stay up to date with all the sales and promotions.